people, DG, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. Now, this video has been a nightmare to try and make, people. I don't actually know the name of it, so I'm just going to call it, you know, the screw-in part of a tripod that goes into the camera to help it sit. Long story short, can't find it, people, and I've had to be very innovative. You can't see it, but I've had to use some extreme amounts of sellotape. So if you're thinking, yo, something's a bit odd, forgive me. I've ordered another one. For today, we're going to have to hold it up, though, people. Moving forward, though, we might as well speak about nothing really, but just certain things I've come across on the internet. Now, first and foremost, Luis Enrique, him and Arsenal, at least, you can never say never in the future, but it seems to be nothing but links when we're linked with this guy. Linked with, obviously, Emery's uncertainty. Linked when Wenger had uncertainty over his managerial career at Arsenal. Linked when the position became vacant. He's obviously, sadly, had to deal with the tragedy of losing a child, his daughter, I believe. So thoughts are with him and things like that. It's a very sad thing, and he's now been reinstated back into the Spanish as Spanish boss, which obviously is what he probably wanted. He needed to take time out for himself. He said himself that he was sounded out by a foreign club before his reappointment as national team coach. Now, it could be a rich Qatarian club or a rich Russian or Chinese club, for all we know, that just saw the availability of a quality manager who's won the Champions League. But if we consider he's been linked with us before, Emery's inconsistencies, did Raul Sanllehi or whoever contact Luis Enrique? I don't know, people, so I'm not going to speculate, but surely it was us. Moving forward from that, Andre Santos. Now, he's not wrong with these comments, but it's bench players talking like starters. He said he's more or less slammed the mentality of the Arsenal squad when he was there. And he said, and he even claims players were even laughing on the team bus after a defeat. Now, context, they might not have been necessarily laughing at the defeat. They might have been a joke. Let's not forget footballers don't live in a bubble. But, yeah, people, he said, I couldn't, well, he didn't really say anything, people. He said, I couldn't win the title, but I was very happy at Arsenal. Living well, training. But at Arsenal, I saw no ambition to win. When I'm in a club, I want to lift the title. But I saw that Arsenal didn't have that ambition. Now, there's obviously truth to that. Ultimately, we have lacked ambition. We've seen players leave. If Van Persie or Cesc or someone else said them very same comments, nobody would have a problem. But people see the fact of Andre Santos really and truly should never have been in a position to be at Arsenal. He wasn't a very good footballer. Shout to him for scoring in that rare victory at Stamford Bridge over Chelsea. But he's not exactly lying, really and truly, people. He said he plays for trophies, and I hear that, but looking at your CV just on Wikipedia quickly, it doesn't really scream someone that plays for clubs for trophies. Fair play, you've won the Confederations Cup in 2009 with Brazil. You've won the Copa do Brasil in 2009 as well. In Fenerbahce, you obviously won a Turkish league title and I assume a cup. So it's not the worst, but considering you didn't win anything at Guillermo, Flamengo. It's not exactly the most illustrious of careers the way he's talking in relation to trophies. But he's not wrong, people. He's not. There's never been no winning ambition at this club since we've moved to the Emirates. The ambition slowly probably was dying in hindsight from that last year at Highbury to the first year at the Emirates to the moment we sold our souls and every shareholder sold their souls to Stan Kroenke and the Kroenke dynasty. Arsenal nothing but collateral for that man. No matter what Josh Kroenke says, do not believe him. His last name is still Kroenke. At the end of the day, they do not care about football. It's that simple. We can give credit where it's due. That somehow 70 odd was splashed out on Pepe. They were following it through, but they do not care about football. It's that simple, people. So that's probably it. Also, Tutu has been speaking now. I'm not speaking about his racism comments, but he's opened up on racism. He's opened up on his experiences on loan. And he says he's in constant contact with Arsenal. And he's actually in constant contact with Freddie Ljungberg. He has said, Freddie is a fantastic coach and more so a fantastic person. You can talk to him about anything. And that helps me a lot. After training, he will come to you and talk to you. He helps you develop on the pitch. I was injured for a while last season and he helped me a lot. it's good to see him with the first team now and helping all the players who have been through. Now, he also spoke on how Ljungberg watches his games here and there, and has actually called him recently to discuss one of his recent games. And I know Emery's got a lot to worry about, and this is really the job, not even for Ljungberg, for Ben Napier, I believe, the loan manager. But you never hear Emery does that. Again, I'm not using Wenger as a stick to beat him, but one thing about Wenger, he did go the extra mile for people, and he really showed people he cared. I'm not saying Emery don't do that, but you do get the vibe that I wouldn't say people don't necessarily like him, but they're not exactly warming to him, because it doesn't seem like Emery goes from a fan. It doesn't seem like he goes the extra mile with the phone calls and all of these sort of things. And it's another young player, whether they're at the club or not, or whether they're going to make it here or not. They've spoken of Ljungberg's credentials and how good Ljungberg is. So that would probably boost people who want Ljungberg to take the position at Arsenal. People. Has he not only Jose Tutu, but has Emery spoken to Eddie Nketiah, allegedly someone he wanted to keep at the club and not go out on loan? Has he spoken to him, for example, people? Only Emery will tell you that. Apparently Arsenal want to recall Eddie Nketiah, speaking of the guy, back from his loan spell at Leeds. Obviously, it looked like a good choice in Leeds. Personally, I thought he should have went to the Bundesliga because he had interest. Or at worst, one of the Bristol clubs, whichever one Lee Johnson is in charge of, because they've tried to chase him for a while. He's gone to Leeds under Bielsa. People said he would develop and improve, and there's no doubt he probably has. It's a quality manager. But minutes are currency. They're lacking. Yes, his stats look good when he comes off the bench and scores, but we're now in November. Hasn't started the league game really and truly. It's not the kind of loan spell we wanted. Whether he can dislodge Patrick Bamford or he should be playing ahead of him is another thing. But either way, the situation needs to change, people, and we probably need to recall him, because no way around it. It's well below the minutes he should have expected or come to expect, people. Moving forward though, and finally to wrap up this vid, I had some other news. Let me see if it's relevant. It's just really in regards to Nuno, really and truly, people. Nuno's basically said, I think in relation to the Arsenal comments, he's more or less shut it down. I think you know me well enough. You know I'm not going to answer about that. I'll never mention an issue that's not a reality. Speaking about a job as a manager would be disrespectful. You know me. I don't talk about ifs and possibilities and things that aren't real. And he's also, when asked if he was happy at Wolves, he said, I think we are doing okay. It requires a lot of work, and every day is a chance to improve. And this is what we want to do all together. Of course, he's going to be happy there, people. And this is somewhat the same language he used when he's been linked with the Everton role. And obviously, he's not going to come out for sheer respect of Wolves, or he's not going to come out and say whether he wants to legitimately go to Arsenal or not. Obviously, people will say in a year, if Wolves are moving iffy and he gets fired, he might have seen the Arsenal job and thought, what if? But he's in a comfortable situation. Him and Eddie Howe, probably Sean Dyche to a degree. There's not many managers at clubs that have been allowed time to build a side and they can have a bit of a longevity factor, and you can't really displace that. And I think he's doing a good job at Wolves. So would you really want to leave mid-season, come into this mess which is Arsenal, and then people are going to still blame you even though it's not you? You even have some people saying they don't want him already. I don't think he's going to come, but it is what it is. Relation to our manager, people, he said, really the club is supporting me. I feel the club. Everybody responsible in that area is backing me. I appreciate it a lot. I feel strong with that support, and I know my responsibility to come back and change that situation. We need to nip Unai Emery in the bud before it continues, because I don't want it to get toxic. It seems like Arsenal, we know we're bad, but we're waiting for it to... It's already down here, but it's like we're waiting for that new low before we really pull the trigger and nip this in the bud. The mood at the club's training ground has been described, based on media reports, as fatalistic. It's more or less a case of when and not if Emery will lose his job, people. Apparently as well, people are just simply fed up with Emery, more or less. There's no real loyalty to him. They haven't warmed to him and whatnot. So we'll have to see how these things develop, people. But it doesn't sound great. Allegedly, you heard Arsenal players were given 2 days off recently to recharge mentally, obviously because of the run we've been on, and Emery returned to Spain temporarily. You've actually seen, apparently Emery had to think, which regardless of the manager, if I believe in him, it's not really nice really, because he's had to cancel some uni event, and I do think I mean, I can assume it's coaching. As someone that has ambitions to coach in some capacity as myself, the chance to be surrounded by Unai Emery or someone else to pick their brains and get their experiences out of them and hear things that could help shape me, you can't put a price on that. And I do think he's been robbed of that. And if they've really cancelled it due to perceived negative press or negative abuse or online trolling, that rubs me up the wrong way as much as the jibes about good evening. Beyond the friendly banter and more mocking his accent and his grasp of the English language, despite the fact that the man speaks French, English, Spanish obviously, and he probably got a bit of Russian in there and whatnot. So how you can mock someone that can speak more languages than you, I won't know. But away from that, Emery is not the man for this role. I'll be the first to bring out of it and say, Emery, I am sorry, I am wrong. If we turn our form around and we get top 4, I'll be the first one to say that. But I genuinely don't believe that's going to happen, and I'm sure you don't. So with this relationship that has been going on for 18 odd months with Unai Emery and Arsenal, it needs to be nipped in the bud and it needs to be finished. On that note though, I'm going to get out of here. People, deluded, I'm out.